input, then fplot, ezplot, both are for plottings, then feval function evaluations, then switch commands, and so on. And we'll see the function testings and basic function callings. So what is that input command? The purpose of the input command is to display anything inside that function, inside that command. So let's say there is a code which I have written. So let's take this code to MATLAB. The prompt is, what is the value of x? So x is actually input prompt. So what actually input do? Input will display whatever the prompt is. So the prompt actually is, we want to display what is the value of x. And as you can see, any character we have to put inside this comma, so that MATLAB understand we have to display this line or this word, this character. And here you see this prompt, it could be any name, so it doesn't matter. And we want to do one more operations in this input command, which is y equals to x square. So that means first MATLAB will display what is the value of x, which we want from the input command. So this is, you see what is the value of x. Now one more operations we'd like to do, we'd like to put the value of x and determine this function y equals to x squared. So let's say x is 2, then hit enter. So y equals to 4. So this is actually the basic operations of an input function in MATLAB. So it takes the input in a character or numerical value and gives it the output. So in this example, we see how it evaluates any numerical value. Now we will see for any character operations. So let's take this code to MATLAB. So here the purpose is very simple. I just want to display this line. Do you like MATLAB? Yes or no? So since there is no numerical value involved, so whenever you are writing this input command, so after the prompt you have to provide this s. S stands for a string. So any character operations you have to provide this string. Otherwise MATLAB won't understand, so it will think of any numerical value. So if you like MATLAB, so let's say yes, so it displays the string value y. So it was for any character operations. Now let's look at the switch command. So what is the meaning of switch in MATLAB and how we can implement it in our coding? So the switch command evaluates any expressions and selects a case or any expression from multiple cases. That means there will be some choices, and you can select a choice based on what logic or what input you have given in the program. So there is a code. I'll just take this code to MATLAB and let's see what happens here. So in this switch operation, so first you see we know now what is the purpose of input. So what we want to do, we want to enter any score here, and here is the switch command, switch n. That means we are performing in our operations on the inputs here. So I have defined here 3 cases. So the first case is number to cell. So this actually converts these numbers from 50 until 100 so into arrays. So number to cell means, so the MATLAB actually assign this number from 50 until 100 in array cells for its displaying options. So the first case, so if this number to cell 50 to 100. So if the input is in this range, so it will display congratulations pass. So the second case is if number to cell is 1 until 49, so MATLAB will display sorry, try again. And otherwise, if you put any values like any negative or fractional values, so MATLAB will display invalid entry. So in this actually commands, you see that we already know the input command, but switch is here our new command. So switch is actually here to choose a case based on the input. So let's say I put 3 as my input here. So 3 actually is in this range 1 until 49. So MATLAB will display sorry, try again. And you see this disp is the short form of display. So if you write this command, so it will display whatever inside here. So and let's try this command again. So now I want to put say -9. So -9 is not defined in any cases, so it will be otherwise invalid entry. So you see this is invalid entry. So one more try. So now let's put 90. So I'm expected to see congratulations. So congratulations pass. Let's talk about feval function. It evaluates actually any MATLAB function. So here is a small code. Let's take this code to MATLAB. So I would like to evaluate this MATLAB built-in function, cosine function. So just function is any function which is cosine, which I have defined, and I'd like to put in a numerical value x equals to 0. So with feval, so as I said that feval actually evaluates any MATLAB functions. So the MATLAB function is cosine function, and I have put a numerical value x equals to 0. So actually it determines cosine 0, which is 1. So you can write cosine 0 in MATLAB Command Pro, it will give you 1. But in any other cases, if you have a very long program, so or if you have a very complex function which you'd like to evaluate, in that case feval is very useful. Now I'd like to discuss function handles in MATLAB. What is that? So you see this symbol here, add. It actually defines the function handles in MATLAB. So the purpose of this function handle actually is indirectly calling a function. So I have here a script file. Let's take that script file to MATLAB. So I'll just create a new M file. So this is my function. So I'd like to actually test function handle. So I just name it as test function handle, and the input is x. So this is actually my function, x squared plus 2x plus 3. So let's save this function. So I saved it, and let's go back here. So what is function handle? So this is the function we have defined in MATLAB, but the function handle is, let's say f is any parameter. So the purpose here is I would like to call the function, this test function handle. So @test function handle. So then this parameter is actually calling test function. So let's take this command to MATLAB again. So here you see, so this parameter f, it is calling this test function, and c is 1, any value actually. So we'd like to actually determine the value of f at this point c. So the c is 1. So from this function, if you calculate, it is the numerical value is 6. So the function handle is actually, so in your program, if the program is very large, or if you I mean like if you have many functions, so this function handle actually simplifies your work, simplifies your task, and make your life easier. Function to string. So the short form func to str, function to string. So as the command name says, so it converts any functions into characters. So what does that mean? So let's say there is a function which is log x plus x squared plus cos y. So if I want to convert this function into strings, that means into these characters, letters, so I have to use this command. So let's just take it to MATLAB. So here you see when I actually put this value in MATLAB and I use this z equals to when I perform this, so it actually displays the value inside the function in character, in letter. So it is just a conversion process. If you want to evaluate any function into strings, characters or letters, so just use this command. Similar to this, I mean like if you want to convert it from string to function, you can also do that similarly. Now let's look at another command, isempty, which determines if any array is empty or not. So it is basically a logical operation. Isempty actually gives you output as 1 or 0. Let's say if your matrix is not empty. So let's say A is my matrix, which is a 2 by 2 matrix, and the matrix elements all are 0. And if you want to determine if this matrix is empty or not, so just write this isempty. Since this is not empty, actually there are 0, this is a 2 by 2 matrix, so the output will be 0. So that means it is not empty. But if the matrix is eventually a 0 element matrix, that means there is no element, so it will give you a logical output 1. So it's eventually an empty matrix. So let's just take this command to MATLAB. So this logical, as I just explained, for this command isempty, so it just delivers either 1 or 0. 1 means you have empty matrix or array, 0 means the matrix or array is not empty. So since this is actually 2 by 2 matrix, so it's not empty, so it returns a value 0. But if I take this to MATLAB, so here it is indeed a 0 element matrix. There's no element there, so it returns 1. So the last commands are fplot and ezplot. So both are actually similar commands. You can use either of those commands. So the purpose here, it plots any symbolic expressions or functions. So we already know the plot command in MATLAB. it plots I mean, like if you like to plot an array, so we can use the plot operations. But fplot is if you want to plot any functions directly without any further evaluation and calculations, so you can use this command. This is a very handy tool, so I'll just copy it and I'll paste it in MATLAB. So you see here, so it will plot this function sin x, and this is the function handle at the rate, you know that. So, and I define the range minus 10 to positive 10. So unlike plot, so what it does actually, it actually plots these functions, and if you define this range, it will, I mean, the plot will be within that range. But if you don't define this range, so MATLAB has actually a default range for this function plot. So let's see the plots. So you see the range is -5 to +5. So this is the default range for this function in MATLAB. So the purpose of fplot or isplot is if you want to plot any functions directly without defining the numerical values of that functions and calculate that, so it makes your life easier. I mean, it's a straightforward operation to plot. And let's see the isplot. We'd like to see the difference here. So ez, so here in isplot, so you see we are not using any function handle. Instead, within the comma we just write the function and hit enter, so it calculates this function.